5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Offer on the Table. Once again, I'm Adam, and with me is John. How you doing, John?
I'm doing pretty fine. You?
Pretty good. All right, let's get it started. Here's the rundown of how the show's going to work. Every episode, we have a few topics that are current in the NBA. Those will be our topics of discussion. Today, two major things on the menu. Number one, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, wants out of Minnesota. We'll talk about that. Anything that we got to say about that, which is a lot because, wow, a little bit of shocking news. Second up, we've got the NBA's expected rule changes via ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. We're just going to give our quick reaction, pros and cons, what we think. And yeah, that'll be it. Started off, Jimmy Buckets, productive in Chicago. He left, losing culture, not that big of a surprise. But this is a bit of a shock.
I mean, I was happy for Jimmy Butler when he chose to finally go. First of all, it was very shocking to me at first. I mean, it wasn't. I understood what he did for 50% of the reason. The other part was that, I mean, he's a player that went from East to West, which in today's day in the NBA, that doesn't really happen, a lot. Most of the time, it's West players going to the East because, the East is weak, blah, blah, blah. And it's more of a chance, or if you're if you're a player from the East, you stay in the East if you choose to move teams. So, it looks like what do you want to say?
I would argue that Jimmy Butler was one of the originators of the trend to move west. I mean, he goes from the Bulls to the Timberwolves. You got Paul George goes Pacers to Thunder. LeBron James goes Cavs to Lakers. So I'd say that Jimmy Butler was the catalyst of this movement west, and now I don't know what happened. Obviously, we'll dive into this more, but now he wants out.
And there are a few reasons to that. Obviously, let's start off with the teammate reason. The moment that it was released that Jimmy Butler requested a trade, Andrew Wiggins' brother tweeted "Hallelujah." So maybe Andrew Wiggins and his brother have been talking, I don't know, maybe team chemistry hasn't been too great between them. I don't know. It's very possible because Andrew Wiggins wants to be a star, Jimmy Butler is a star, and maybe Andrew Wiggins feels like his place as, I feel like Andrew Wiggins feels like his place in Minnesota has been completely taken over. First they get Karl Anthony Towns, who's now better than him. Now they also get Jimmy Butler, who's also better than him. I mean, it makes sense for him to be, upset with his position. But I don't think he should be taking it out on Jimmy Butler. Because, I mean, that he should take it as a compliment that Jimmy Butler wants to come play with you and another young star. But so there's that. And then there's, also... I heard this summer that maybe, Karl Anthony Towns was playing a little too much Fortnite before the games, after the games. And, Jimmy Butler's that type of person who is, in the gym constantly. He has that 100%, knockdown mid-range.
Jimmy Butler is what I would classify as a grinder. This is a man who's worked for everything he's ever achieved.
At 13.
Exactly. You're talking, he literally built from the ground up.
Literally.
So I feel like if you're Jimmy Butler and you had to grind for every cent that you've made, and you're looking at guys like Karl Anthony Towns who, aren't nearly as dedicated as you are.
It gets you pissed. It gets you pissed that people aren't working as hard as you.
I would be upset, yeah.
Especially since, they gave him that pitch that if a player of Jimmy Butler's caliber comes to play for your team, you better bust your ass. Because especially since Jimmy Butler is that type of person. But, this guy is coming here. He's in the middle of his career, at his peak of his career. He's probably looking to contend for a championship, right? So, and, you're playing Fortnite and other shit. And when Jimmy Butler's in the gym, when other people, this is from experience, and everybody has seen this one way or another. If one person is working hard in a group effort, and others aren't working as hard, that person is pissed. And you can take it... I don't think I just speak for myself. I speak for Adam when we talk about, school group work. Man, that shit. Because, the teacher gives you the same grade for everybody, but you worked 3 times as hard as that one,
Slacker.
Yeah. So, I think Jimmy Butler's getting that feeling, but we'll never know. And I want to just transition to what Jimmy Butler has said, that if he's traded, what teams he's willing to go to. Adam, read us off those teams.
We've got the future NBA champions of 2000 and never, the Brooklyn Nets, followed by another strong contender for that title, the New York Knicks, and of course the runners-up from last year's 2000 never NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Clippers.
Don't sleep on those teams.
Oh, yes, because all of those teams have gotten supremely good draft picks, yet I guarantee not one of them makes a title in the next, 5 years.
I think that's safe to say. But, I want to, well, in all seriousness, he chose those teams because all those teams have a max contract slot.
And they're all
Yeah, and maybe that's what it takes for him to feel like he's the man there. I don't know, maybe he thinks that he can, maybe if they're not all big shots, maybe Karl Anthony Towns, maybe he feels like Karl Anthony Towns butted a little too early. And, now that he thinks he's a star, he doesn't have to work for it. I don't know. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns isn't like that. I don't know. But, maybe he wants to go to a team where people are shit and are grinding just like he was in the beginning of his career. Maybe he could, ride with a bunch of Jimmy Butlers that have been going through the same thing. And maybe he can, make them a playoff, a contending team and a playoff team. But notice how 2 out of those 3 teams are in the East. Obviously, maybe he wants to go back to the East because he saw that the West maybe isn't for him, but he still is leaving that option open to play in LA. Now, I have one question for you, Adam. Why choose the Clippers over the Lakers? Because I realize that he wants to be the one, right? He wants to be the guy. But, you're at the top. You're at the peak of your career, and you have a chance to play with LeBron James, do you want to tell me that Adam's laughing at me right now? Do you think that if Jimmy Butler and LeBron James were teamed up, they wouldn't win a championship?
I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. That's a hypothetical question.
I think it's worth a shot rather than going to Inglewood in the next few years with, a really safe neighborhood. You really don't hear about much crime in that area, except for the fact that the Clippers still call themselves an LA team. That's probably the biggest crime. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why go to the Clippers? Same thing with Kawhi. Why go to the Clippers? You have a chance to play with... The only reason I can see that he doesn't want to go right now and play with the Lakers is because right now the Lakers don't have that money. They don't have the max contract. They can only offer to him next year.
See, John, contrary to your belief, not everybody wants to play with LeBron James.
Why not? Why not? LeBron James gets you to... LeBron James took J.R. Smith, Jordan Clarkson, these other bums, and Kevin Love, who was a big help, of course. But, he brought this team to the finals. He even won with them in 2016. Who was that? J.R. Smith?
Yeah, but he had Kyrie and Kevin Love in 2016.
Okay.
Would you like me to go back to the finals?
No.
And break down that last shot for you? Was that LeBron? No. Oh, I apologize. That man's currently in Boston.
No. That was Kyrie Irving, and he was essential in that win. But we're not going into that discussion. What I'm saying is that why is there this effect that players don't want to play with LeBron James? Because Kyrie Irving doesn't want to play with LeBron. Kawhi doesn't want to play with LeBron, obviously. Jimmy Butler doesn't want to play with LeBron. Can these guys swallow their pride for a second? Do you want a fucking championship or not? And just because you're next to LeBron James doesn't mean, nobody will recognize you for anything.
I feel like
you're goddamn Jimmy Butler. You're Jimmy fucking Butler. And you're Kawhi fucking Leonard.
Yeah, but all of that gets taken away from you if you're playing with LeBron.
No!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No!
Yes.
Kyrie Irving! Everybody knows Kyrie Irving.
Not because he played with LeBron. Everyone
No.
knows Kyrie Irving because he was the only good player that was on the Cavs until LeBron showed up. Which, obviously, I'm not a LeBron fan, but I got mad respect for the guy. He is the best player in the NBA right now.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm not going to deny that fact. But what goes along with that is the expectation of being the best player in the NBA. You take a team to the finals every year, which they probably won't this year, which sucks to suck. But it's not that simple. And I don't think that everyone's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to play with LeBron James because, like, he's really good and shit. Like, that's just not a thing. Because at some point, there's an expectation that LeBron James is a fundamental factor in every single minute of the game. Right? Like, we saw this with the Cavs. LeBron played, 41.5 minutes a game?
Mm-hmm.
Or, no, 47.5. Since there's 48 minutes?
Yeah.
So he plays, like, he sits on the bench for 30 seconds a game to get one cup of water. Like, there was no room for anyone else to touch the ball.
That's not true.
So, if you're a superstar like Jimmy Butler and you're leaving Minnesota, potentially one of your reasons is that you have to share the ball with Andrew Wiggins, with Karl-Anthony Towns, with Jeff Teague.
I don't think that was the problem.
Why would you go to a ball-dominant place like Houston, like Los Angeles with LeBron, actually the Warriors aren't that ball dominant, but I mean,
that's not the problem.
Look at the teams that he's considering. Can you name me a star player on either the Nets or the Clippers or anyone else other than Kristaps on the Knicks?
No, I can't.
Exactly. He is the face of the franchise the Nets, Knicks, or Clippers, wherever he chooses to go. So if this is what Jimmy's really going for, then why the would you go to the Clippers? Or why would you go to the Lakers? Excuse me. Like, there is no way that you are the spotlight of that team. And if you're looking for recognition as a top-tier player, it makes zero sense to go hide in the shade of someone else.
Okay, but I think you misunderstood me when I said that.
You said, why wouldn't they want to play with LeBron James? That is what I'm responding to.
Okay, but I told you that I didn't mean that he has to share the. That wasn't the problem, that he had to share the ball with Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. It was the fact that I think that maybe Jimmy Butler, being the grinder that he is, just didn't see that same amount of effort with Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins.
Well, then I'm offering the counterpoint that he had to share the ball. I mean, you look at, like, when he was in Chicago,
Karl-Anthony Towns, all he has to do is call for the ball in the post. He doesn't have to do all that extra stuff. He would be good as well. So, having to share the ball with Karl-Anthony Towns is not a big... that's
not true. Karl-Anthony Towns is a big factor of that offense. What you said it. You literally just said
No.
When
I
Karl-Anthony
understand.
Towns calls for the ball, he gets the ball, and that's a wasted possession.
No, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't have to take the ball up the court.
Yeah,
neither
but
does Andrew Wiggins. No, neither.
Yes!
He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do that.
He doesn't have to.
Wait on the wing.
But he does. That's what I'm saying. Whether you have to or not, he does.
So Jimmy Butler is obviously
forward.
Jimmy Butler is the best player on that Timberwolves team.
Was.
But I think that he should be able. This is what just doesn't make really much sense to me, except for the fact that maybe he doesn't think that they work hard enough. If you were the best player on that team, you're gonna do whatever the fuck you want. You take the ball at the court. You tell them, wait on the wing, wait in the post. Sharing the ball wasn't a problem because Jimmy Butler was the best player on that team.
Well, okay, so we're obviously in the same mindset. Jimmy Butler was the best player on the team. We are in the same mindset.
Right. I think Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler all had butting heads on that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So if you're in a team where everyone thinks that they're the best player, there is no
conflict.
direction.
Right.
Exactly. So if he goes to the Nets, Knicks, or Clippers,
he doesn't have that conflict.
I mean, the Knicks maybe with Kristaps, but even then, Kristaps is not ball dominant. Kristaps, if he needs it, he'll take it, he'll shoot it. He's quick.
Kristaps will be. I think Jimmy Butler and Kristaps, that would be the best option. I think for them, for Jimmy Butler, because Kristaps is really a good player. They can make that team pretty good in the East now, how it is, and like Kristaps isn't that type of person. I mean, he hasn't had too many good players to butt heads with, other than Carmelo Anthony, who was on the verge of going away anyway.
No, but even then, you're talking about Carmelo Anthony. That's literally the definition of a ball-dominant player. It's
Right.
Carmelo Anthony. The guy
Right.
takes, like, 75 shots a game.
And when he gets the ball, if he doesn't take